morning and welcome to Breaking the Rules. My name is Ray Lowe and I'm going to be your host for today. And by the way, I'm also the luckiest guy in the world. Now, the luckiest guy in the world isn't a job title I have, and it's not an award that I won. What it is it's a state of being. It's how you feel when everything in your life kind of comes together and you feel like you're living a life that you personally designed, and maybe it's because you have. And what happens is every morning you get up and you're excited about what you've got planned for the day, and at the end of the day you get to look back at the day and say, wow, I feel really good about the value that I gave to other people. And finally, and maybe most important, is that you get feedback from the people you worked with, and they tell you how much they appreciate you and how much value you brought them. So I'm here today with Casey Dempster, and Casey has been with our Luckiest Guy in the World program since its inception, and she brings a lot of value to the table. She's been involved in writing our books and helping us with our TV show and helping us with our online courses. And Casey, I think where we need to start is talk a little bit about why we named the show Breaking the Rules.
Yes, that's a good place to start. Our show is about change, and who hasn't experienced change in their life? But what we also want to talk about is breaking the rules, because just because things have always been done a certain way doesn't mean that you have to do that way. And Thomas Edison once said, there are no rules, we're trying to get something accomplished. And what that says to me is that oftentimes the rules don't fit the situation or the people. And so we want to give people a structure to show them how to make the rules fit what they are trying to do.
Yes, let's break some rules. And we're going to have a guest later on, and tell us who that is.
Yes, we are. We have today with us Marc Bernstein, the fiscal therapist, and I have to say that carefully because it comes out sounding like physical therapist, and it's not. But we're going to ask Marc later in the show to talk to us about that.
Yeah, and let's start with a quote from a famous philosopher, actually a major league philosopher. His name was Yogi Berra.
Yes.
And his famous quote was, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to wind up someplace else. You know, and there's a lot of wisdom in that quote when you start to think about it. You know, we all need a plan in life. And if we don't have a plan, we're not going to get where we want to go. And yet most Americans don't have a plan. Why?
That's true. I think one of the reasons is because planning your life, it feels so overwhelming. You know, especially for college kids, and they're thinking, oh, I've got to make a decision. You know, I'm going to live to be maybe 60. Isn't that old? And, you know, how can you plan for 40 years? So, but then you also have people that tell you that they do have a plan. But the reality is that their plan is very vague. It's very general. They'll say, I want to major in this. I want to have a career in this company. I want to get married. I want to have children. I want to retire young. But they don't have a specific strategy to achieve each one of those goals.
And it's because it's just an overwhelming process.
It is,
right?
It's overwhelming.
There's another phase that I learned about several years ago. We were actually doing some college planning, and we were working with parents, and parents were getting extremely frustrated because they couldn't get their kids to make a decision. They wouldn't do their paperwork, they wouldn't do anything. And yet, when we actually talked to some of the kids, we found out that the reason for that was they felt that they were going to be locked into a commitment for the rest of their life, and they didn't feel like they were ready to make that commitment.
That's true. I mean, how many people do we know who majored in one thing and are not doing that today? In fact, I think you're one of them.
Very definitely. So there's another aspect
yes,
too.
The other thing is that, you know, as I mentioned earlier in the show, things change, and oftentimes we make plans and they blow up. So a lot of people won't bother making a plan because they figure it's going to blow up on them. So Thomas Edison had the right approach, you know, change the rules.
He did, and we found a solution for this, and the solution is locked into the first course that we offer people, and it happens to be totally free. But it takes a different approach to things. Instead of trying to do a lifelong plan, which is what you need, we found that the best way to do that is plan for your life, but do it in 90-day segments. And the beauty of being able to do that is you don't have these long commitments, you don't have to be overwhelmed, you can make changes when things change, And so it's a great way to get things started. So, if you haven't taken our free course yet, you want to do that, and the way to do that is to go to our website, right?
That's right, theluckiestguyintheworld.com.
Okay, now we're ready for a break, I think, and when we come back, we have a special treat. We're going to meet a fiscal therapist. And if you've never met one before, you're going to find it an interesting situation.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs design new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hi, I'm Sylvia, the wine entrepreneur, host of a brand new show called Cooked and Uncorked on RVN TV. Every week at noon on Wednesday, we're going to introduce a brand new wine or spirit with a different chef and their cuisine. It's going to be an exciting way to learn how to pair your food, to sip wine from around the world, and to have a good time. Be there or you might miss your next great wine or your next great meal.
Got a quarter?
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs design new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Welcome to Live Better Longer, the show for baby boomers who want to improve and even extend their retirement years. I'm your host, Bill Borton. On Live Better Longer, our viewers meet and learn from a wide variety of experts and thought leaders who share their knowledge on subjects ranging from portfolio management to nutrition management, from insurance, Social Security, and reverse mortgages, to annuities, Medicare, and Roth IRA conversions. Not just thought-provoking and actionable information, but why it's important to you. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 on RVN TV for reliable and unbiased information from experts in their field who are committed to helping you live better longer.
Is your business growing and now you need a new and bigger building? Has your organization outgrown their facility and now it's time to expand? Do your hobbies require the need for more space? If you're paying rent, but now you want the advantages of owning, the prospect of financing, construction, and on-time completion may seem out of your reach. General Steel Corporation has the answer. A pre-engineered steel building from the General will not only look great and satisfy almost any need, but you'll save time and money. Our team will help you create your building and deliver it to your location. We offer design services to help you present your concept to board members, bankers, or for fundraising. And the General can even help with financing. General Steel is a name you know, with quality backed by a 50-year structural warranty. Call today and find out how easy it is to have the building you want. You may even save up to $20,000 with rebates. If you need space, you need the General.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs design new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Welcome to Live Better Longer, the show for baby boomers who want to improve and even extend their retirement years. I'm your host, Bill Borton. On Live Better Longer, our viewers meet.
Welcome back to Breaking the Rules. I'm your host, Ray Lowe, and I'm here with Marc Bernstein. And Marc, welcome to our show. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Ray.
You know, I've known Marc for a long, long time, haven't we?
A long time.
Yeah, longer than
Long
we
time.
care to
Yeah,
admit, right?
definitely.
And you know, in looking at the history of where you've been and what you're doing, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you've got some sort of accounting background. I know you're an attorney. I know you're a financial advisor. You're a musician in here somewhere.
Can I fight the accounting thing for a second?
Yeah, you can.
I took one accounting course, Accounting 101. I came from a family of accountants. I did that, then I worked in the general accounting office at the University of Delaware, and I went back to being a music major, and that's what I graduated in.
Okay, well,
That was
the
enough for me.
music major is probably the most important thing in the whole thing. But then in addition to that, you've been a financial advisor, and now a physical therapist, and we're going to let you tell us about that in a minute. And I also have you down as the money-tude man, and I think we're going to get to that in a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. So was this journey you've been on always by design, or what happened along the way?
Absolutely not. So as a music major, figured out I didn't know what to do with that, so I ended up going to law school because everyone always said I was a good debater, good arguer. My family told me that. Came out of law school, started out as an entertainment attorney, loved the music, but didn't necessarily love the music business. And then I discovered this field right around the time that I met you, called financial planning. Went to a big company that was advocating that. They wouldn't hire me because they wanted me as an attorney at my age today, not me as an attorney at 28. And you know, they wanted all my contacts and all that kind of thing. And so it was a twisted journey to get here to what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Okay, take a minute and talk about the music major, because I think, now you're still playing a band, is that
Yep,
right?
I still do.
And you do that to raise money?
No.
No.
Oh, sometimes for charities, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Not to raise money.
So
for
what's
me.
the name of the band?
Well, the current band is called Beyond the Bucket.
Beyond the Bucket, okay. All right, so let's go back into history a little bit, because you obviously had at least one event that I know of that sculpted where you're going. So tell us about that.
So I don't think I realized it till much later, but when I was in high school, my father owned a business. He was a greeting card wholesaler and worked very hard. He used to work 7 days a week to build this business from scratch. Was always very proud of the fact that he put 3 boys through college. But this was when I was still in high school, and we got a call mid-evening, I think, saying that his business was on fire. He was in a warehouse. There was a paint factory
Literally
next
on
door,
fire.
literally on fire. So he went there. I went there with him and stood there and watched as he saw literally his business life go up in flames. What wasn't destroyed by fire was destroyed by smoke. And as we're talking, he says, you know, it's been bothering me for a long time, but I never upped my insurance, my property casualty insurance. And I should have done it, but I was busy. I didn't have the time. So we knew it was going to be a bit of a disaster at that point. And he ended up having to move out of that site because it was destroyed for the time to a place 3 times bigger, had to triple his business really to keep up with his overhead to expand at a time that he hoped to start slowing down and perhaps retiring. So I watched his life change dramatically because of not having enough protection, even though he had the best intentions. He was busy like all of us and didn't get to it. That has shaped the way that we do planning a bit from the bottom up, from protection up. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it also, I think, influenced me, as that's a very important part of the financial planning process that remains so today.
You know, in every cloud, there's a silver lining, so they
Sure,
say, right?
sure.
And certainly, talk about a motivational sense of issues. So talk to me a little bit about your passion for the new business. How it was affected by all this? Where do you go, and how do you get you into what you're doing? Because you've obviously reinvented yourself a couple times here.
Sure. Well, number one, we help people to find and retain financial freedom, which to me is, you know, is invaluable. You know, when you think about it, so much of our society is based on having enough money to do the things you want to do, spend your time the way you want to, as the luckiest guy in the world does. By the way, I'm very honored to be here with 2 of the luckiest people in the world, you and Casey, today. I consider myself one of those as well. And, you know, and I think that the idea of helping people get to where they want to go is the thing I thought I would be able to achieve as an attorney. I found out this is a much better way to do it as a financial planner and ultimately a fiscal therapist.
Okay, so when you look at, you know, this phase in your life, I mean, you and I aren't as young as we used to be, okay? But
Sounds like a Yogi Berraism, by the way.
Yeah, but here you are, you're still going, right? You're still going strong. Yeah, you don't really have an end in things, and why? Because you love what you're doing, right?
Because I love what I'm doing. And this is a type of career I could do this into my 80s, 90s, and beyond. And I think I'll continue to recreate it and reshape it, but why not keep doing what you love? I don't know what else I would do.
Okay, we're going to take a break, but I think we have 1 minute for a money toot over here, so give us one, all right?
Okay, one of my favorite ones, and it's very appropriate right now at this stage of my life. Money isn't everything, but it sure keeps me in touch with my children. Alexander Hamilton, who's a very popular politician these days, allegedly said that. I think it's a great one.
So I think it's time for a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your brand new book. You want to give us a title real quick?
The Fiscal Therapy Solution 1.0.
Yeah, and it's fiscal therapy with an F, not a
Fiscal
PH,
therapy,
right?
correct.
So let's go to our break, and thanks, and we'll come back in a few minutes.
Great, Ray, thanks.
When did you see the sun?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs design new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Welcome to Live Better Longer, the show for baby boomers who want to improve and even extend their retirement years. I'm your host, Bill Borton. On Live Better Longer, our viewers meet and learn from a wide variety of experts and thought leaders who share their knowledge on subjects ranging from portfolio management to nutrition management, from insurance, Social Security, and reverse mortgages, to annuities, Medicare, and Roth IRA conversions. Not just thought-provoking and actionable information, but why it's important to you. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 on RVN TV for reliable and unbiased information from experts in their field who are committed to helping you live better longer.
Is your business growing and now you need a new and bigger building? Has your organization outgrown their facility and now it's time to expand? Do your hobbies require the need for more space? If you're paying rent, but now you want the advantages of owning, the prospect of financing, construction, and on-time completion may seem out of your reach. General Steel Corporation has the answer. A pre-engineered steel building from the General will not only look great and satisfy almost any need, but you'll save time and money. Our team will help you create your building and deliver it to your location. We offer design services to help you present your concept to board members, bankers, or for fundraising. And the General can even help with financing. General Steel is a name you know, with quality backed by a 50-year structural warranty. Call today and find out how easy it is to have the building you want. You may even save up to $20,000 with rebates. If you need space, you need the General.
Welcome back to Breaking the Rules. And, you know, going back to our quote from Yogi Berra, if you don't know where you're going to wind up somewhere else. And we brought Casey back on our set this time, and there's a reason for that. Marc told me in confidence over here that I make him grin a little bit, but Casey makes him smile. So Casey, you're back on. You get to ask the first question.
Thanks, Ray. Marc, I wanted to mention again the name of your book, The Fiscal Therapy Solution 1.0.
That's great.
And in talking a little bit about it, I understand that you feel that the traditional financial planning industry often puts the cart before the horse. What do you mean by that?
So as much as companies try not to do this, you see it all the time, they lead with product. Mm-hmm. There's always a product in mind. Sometimes it's a process that's the product, but there's always a product in mind. You know, big brokerage companies, it's no secret that they finance certain investments and sort of push them to the brokers, and they're very transactionally oriented traditionally. What we do reverses that. We put the process first and help people figure out who they are and what they want. It's something Ray and I have talked a lot about. And from there, that leads us to solutions which often involve products. But that's the last thing we talk about.
You know, let me ask a question there, because I suspect that you run into lots and lots of people who have legal documents done or things almost purchased and they haven't gone through with the plan yet. Yes. Why is that?
Well, first of all, I talk about it in the book a little bit as the financial attic. They have a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they might have all different kinds of bonds up there. They might have stocks and things, stock certificates that they've forgotten about, legal documents that are unsigned, all kinds of things. And they often have no, they bought them over time and they might have been the right thing at the time, but there's no clue as to how it all fits together. People mean well, attorneys mean well. I work with a lot of good attorneys. I'm an attorney by background, but there's only so much they can do to get people to actually sign the documents. Sometimes by the time they finally get signed, they're obsolete. They need to be redone. I see this all the time. And it's just human nature. So our process is designed, part of it is about the implementation. In fact, we have something at the end called an implementation guide, that becomes a roadmap to make sure that after you figure out who you are, what you want, then we talk about what you need to do to get to where you want to go. The roadmap leads us, and we actually have some electronic guidance on that as well through a system that we have that aggregates the whole plan together. So it's no longer an attic, but it's a finely designed program to help people get to where they want to go.
So if I understand, the time needs to be spent at the front end, because if you just have a cookie cutter plan, it's not your plan, and so you're not likely to implement it. And then you talk all the time about things change and how rapidly things change.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is that we do spend a lot of time on the front end. We use things that Casey's very familiar with, the Colby profile, to help figure out how people follow their natural instincts to get done what they want to get done, figure out where their strengths are. And we use a lot of other different tools to try to figure out. There's a scorecard that we're developing to figure out where they are in terms of a risk profile and risk allocation. And there's a lot of front-end work before we really get into recommendations and implementation of the plan.
And I think you used something called the Dan Sullivan question, going back into another part of our history.
Absolutely. So, Ray, if I asked you today, if this were July 17th, 2021, what would have to happen as you look back over the past 3 years to feel like that period was successful for you professionally, personally, financially? That's my favorite question, and it leads to a whole lot of conversation. I'll tell you a story real quick about a couple that came to see me a few weeks ago who came in and said, we need a financial plan because we want to retire. It's pretty much what everyone wants to say. And we talked a little bit, and I found out that there was a little bit more going on below the surface. They were in a business together, professional services business, and they weren't really happy with what they were doing. So of course they wanted to get out as soon as possible. By the second meeting, I'd gathered enough information to say, hey, you have all this real estate you've acquired. If you just sold that all tomorrow, I can tell you now without doing a plan, you could retire tomorrow. Why haven't you? And they said, that's a really good question. And we started talking about it. We delved into it further and further. Found out there are things they like about the business. They, like a lot of us, we talk about, they don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. So then we started talking about, what if you were focused on your unique ability, the things that energize you, the things that keep you going, keep you alive, and excite you about the business, that's your passion. And they said, that would be a lot different. And we talked about the idea of surrounding themselves with people with unique abilities that like to do the things that they don't like to do. Another Dan Sullivan strategic coach concept. And they started getting a little excited. So they're still interviewing other financial planners, and I'll say this on TV, I think they're going to come my way because nobody else was asking them those kind of questions.
Well, that's great. Now, your book, and I read it, okay, is really your unique process, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And you talked about the front end a little bit, but talk a little bit about what goes on next. And I think you had a couple of graphs that we might want to bring up and take a look at.
Sure. Before we do that, real quickly, I'll just say that in the book, we compare it to sort of the process of a doctor or a physical therapist. I've probably spent more time with physical therapists for different reasons over the years. And a good one, and the ones I know some are clients of mine that are very good, and the good ones spend a lot of time up front diagnosing, figure out what the underlying causes are before they start giving you treatment. Just like in any profession, there are others that just start right away on the treatment without really figuring out, and you realize they're not maybe the right ones for you. So again, we spend a lot of time up front really figuring out who our client is, what they want, and where they want to try to go. On the back end, to show you a little bit, if you look at, let's look at the pyramid for a second, Tyler, if you don't mind, the first one. And this pyramid is the traditional financial planning pyramid. When I came into the business, I saw this all the time by different companies, and maybe it looked a little different, but it was very similar. Starts at the bottom with cash, investments, money market, all the things you would buy. And even at a young age in the business, I wondered, why is this all built around stuff that people buy when they don't even know what it is they need yet? It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. So over time, being influenced by some other programs out there, I developed a new pyramid. If we can put that one up, it would be great. And this one, you can see it looks a little more three-dimensional because it's alive. It's sort of like Maslow's hierarchy of financial needs, if you want to think of it that way. So it starts with protection at the bottom, savings and debt, growth, income, and then legacy. And if you think about that, that pretty much covers the whole gamut of what people want to do financially throughout their lives. So we found that this works real well. So as we're going through the process, we're discussing all these and sort of categorizing first their goals into these different areas, and then also the ultimate solutions will be in buckets according to where their goals are, which is a little different than the traditional approach to financial planning.
Yeah, I noticed the insurance on the bottom, and that certainly impacted your life early in the game, didn't it?
Yes, the protection on the bottom. The answer may be, it may be state documents, it may be insurance, but it's protection, you know, protecting your interests.
So I think you've got a great process here, and when is your book coming out?
Any day. I just got the word today. I think it'll be out in 2.5 weeks. I think we'll have it.
Do we have a copy of the cover of Marc's new book that we can put up there, Tyler? There it is. And how am I going to be able to get it when it comes out, other than the free copy you're going to send me?
Easiest way, you'll get 2 free copies, one for Casey.
Thank you.
Okay.
The easiest way to get it will be on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com.
Perfect.
Cool. All right.
Do we have time for another money toot?
Sure. Do you have one, or you want me to
No,
do one?
you know them better.
So another favorite of mine, this comes from Bo Derek, of all people. She's a very wise woman financially. She said, whoever said money can't buy happiness didn't know where to shop. I used that one with my wife last night. She liked that a lot. So.
Come on, you got time for one more. Here,
One more?
As we escape.
Hey, I got to end with a yogiism. I'm big on Yogi Berraisms myself. He said, a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore.
Isn't that true?
And one other one that I'll just say that has to do with the planning process. When you get to a fork in the road, has to do with all of our lives too. When you get to a fork in the road, take it.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to seeing your new book. Hopefully it'll be out in the next day or two, maybe sooner. And I read the draft version. It's a great book. It gives you a process that I think if you're doing any kind of financial planning, you got to really take a close look at it, because it puts the cart before the horse and finishes up in the right place. So, Marc, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck with your book.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Good day to everyone.